Memorial marks on the bricks of history. The Mehrangarh fort in Jodhpur is one of the most majestic structures in India, but its beauty hides dark pages of history. On the inner gate of Loha Pole, 15 imprints of women's hands are still visible, silent witnesses to the tragic tradition of sati. Sati is an ancient Hindu ritual according to which widows were supposed to burn on the funeral pyre of their husbands. Sometimes women did this voluntarily, but more often they were forced. This practice was officially banned by the British in 1829, but in India it continued until the 20th century. In 1843, after the death of Maharaja Man Singh, his wives left handprints on the wall before stepping into the fire. However, this is not the only case in the history of the fort. In 1731, 6 wives and 58 concubines of Maharaja Ajit Singh also committed suicide in the flames. Tragedies have been going on since the fort's foundation. In the 15th century, Saint Chidyawale Baba cursed Rao Yodha, saying his land would suffer from perpetual drought. To lift the curse, the king ordered a resident of Meghwal, Rajaram, to be walled up alive within the fort's walls. But the curse still seems to be in effect. Maharajas have died here, tourists have fallen, and in 2008, hundreds were killed or injured during a stampede at the Chamunda Devi temple. Kryptonite on Earth. Jadeite, a mineral discovered in 2006 in Serbia, attracted attention due to its striking similarity to kryptonite, the fictional substance that weakens Superman. The chemical composition of jadeite is almost identical to the kryptonite described in the film Superman Returns, including sodium, lithium, borosilicate, and hydroxide. However, unlike its fictional counterpart, jadeite does not contain fluorine, which gave kryptonite its famous green glow. This is why jadeite is white. The discovery of this mineral has attracted great interest from both scientists and science fiction fans, becoming an example of how fiction sometimes intersects with reality. Jadeite was found exclusively in the Jadar River Valley in Serbia and is of interest due to its high lithium content, which is used in the production of batteries. Child of Taung. This is the story of a small child from Taung whose skull, found in 1924, was one of the first ancient human fossils in Africa. The uniqueness of the Taung child's skull lies in its structure. For the first time, scientists have seen evidence of vertical bipedal walking in ancient humans. It's all about the opening called the large foramen magnum, through which the spinal cord connects to the brain. In this child, it is located in front of the skull, which is typical for creatures that move on 2 legs, unlike monkeys, in which it is shifted back. We learned about the age of the Taung child through the study of teeth. The first molars were just beginning to erupt, which indicates that the child was very young. He was just over 3 years old. Scientists suggest that he was attacked by an eagle, which killed him. It's all about the unique marks found at the bottom of the baby's eye sockets. They are very similar to those left by eagle claws and beaks when they attack monkeys. This hypothesis is also pushed by the finds of eggshells found at the site and an unusual set of animal bones, mostly small ones, which often become the prey of modern birds of prey. Discovery rewrites alcohol history. The process of distilling alcohol goes back much further than previously thought. New excavations at the tomb of Liu He, the 9th emperor of the Western Han dynasty, have revealed that distillation was already known in China 2,000 years ago. Scientists have found a bronze vessel called a heavenly pot, which served as a key part of a wine distillation device. Previously, historical texts only pointed to the emergence of such technologies during the Yuan dynasty, that is, 1,000 years later. Despite his short reign, Liu He left behind an impressive legacy. In addition to the distiller itself, the oldest painting of Confucius was found in his tomb, as well as thousands of pieces of armor made of iron, copper, and lacquered leather. All this testifies to the high level of craftsmanship of the Western Han era. An experiment with a replica of the bronze vessel showed a distillation efficiency of over 70% while preserving the taste and aroma of the drink. Initially thought to have been used for perfume essences or medicine, it is now clear that its primary purpose was alcohol production. The findings provide insight into the evolution of brewing and alcohol practices, complementing historical records and revealing the potential of early Chinese inventors. The mystery of the Herculaneum scroll. Thanks to artificial intelligence and advanced X-ray technology, scientists have managed to decipher the text of one of the ancient Herculaneum scrolls for the first time. These unique artifacts, which survived the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD, remained a mystery for almost 2,000 years. The scrolls were discovered in the 1750s among the ruins of a Roman villa. However, after the disaster, they turned into charred, fragile rolls that cannot be unrolled without breaking. Most of them are stored in the National Library of Naples, and a few copies are in Oxford. In 2023, the Vesuvius Challenge was launched to find technologies to decipher these texts. Recently, researchers announced a major breakthrough. Using high-energy X-ray scanning and AI algorithms, they managed to create the first image of the inside of the Oxford Scroll. Scientists have already identified several words, one of which is the Greek for disgust. Although the text is still fragmentary, the method continues to improve. There are more than 1,000 such scrolls in Naples, and now researchers have hope of deciphering them. Copper object. This mysterious artifact made from a single piece of copper alloy puzzles researchers and collectors. The object, rather crudely cast with visible defects, has a head in the shape of a rectangular prism which narrows on all sides to a sharp edge. The handle, smoothly rounded at the end, shows no traces of blows, which indicates that it was not used for striking in the usual sense. Interestingly, the edges of the head previously had parallel lines and scratches that have worn off over time. This may indicate repeated use of the artifact, possibly in the process of cutting, grinding, or scraping. The estimated dating of the artifact varies between 5,000 and 10,000 years, but the exact origin remains unclear. Some researchers hypothesize that this object could have been used for ritual purposes or as part of an unknown technological device. Alternative history proponents believe that such artifacts could have been part of ancient, highly advanced tools created using technology beyond the capabilities of ancient metallurgists. Pyramids of Meroë. Everyone knows the huge pyramids of Egypt, but Sudan has the largest collection of these amazing ancient structures. What a twist, huh? Sudan is often associated with civil wars and disease, but this country is a treasure trove for lovers of culture and history. At the top of the list are the pyramids of Meroë. They were built in Nubia, one of the first civilizations of ancient Africa, and served as a place of eternal rest for the last pharaohs of the ancient city of Meroë. Over 200 pyramids, located on 3 sites, were built as royal graves for 40 kings and queens who ruled the kingdom of Nubia Kush for more than 1,000 years. This period is known as the Meroitic period. Unlike the pyramids of Giza, the pyramids of Meroë are built of granite and sandstone and are characterized by small bases and steep slopes. Many artifacts are found inside the tombs: ceramics, glass, quivers with arrows. Even despite the destruction, the pyramids retain their magic, especially at dawn and dusk. Bas-reliefs depicting scenes from ancient Egyptian mythology indicate a strong cultural influence. Panda in the tomb. The great Chinese Emperor Wen, who lived 2,200 years ago, passed away. And here's what's interesting. Near his last refuge, archaeologists discovered the remains of a giant panda and a tapir. Until that moment, scientists did not even suspect that tapirs could live in China during the reign of the emperor. And many other animals were found near the tomb, from mighty tigers to peacocks and golden-nosed monkeys. Many of them, unfortunately, are now endangered. Are these finds really 300 million years old? From time to time, miners find strange artifacts in coal seams that appear to have been created by intelligent beings. This poses some awkward questions for science, since the age of these rocks is estimated at 300 million years. How could objects that were clearly made by hand get there? After all, at that time, the Earth was inhabited only by giant insects and the first reptiles, and there was no talk of people, dinosaurs, or even advanced technologies. However, the finds continue to amaze us. In 1912, an iron pot was extracted from a coal seam in Oklahoma. And in 1851, a zinc and silver vase was discovered in Massachusetts, the rock of which is 534 million years old. A metal rod similar to a rack made of aluminum with an admixture of magnesium was found in Russia. Its origin is even more mysterious. Aluminum was discovered only in 1825, and the age of the coal in which it was found exceeds 300 million years. Scientists have found that the metal is saturated with carbon, which confirms its incredible age. But if so, who made it? Some believe that these finds are traces of a vanished civilization that existed long before us, but was wiped off the face of the planet by a global cataclysm. Others suggest that the objects could have been left by aliens or even time travelers. Skeptics, in turn, are sure that this is a hoax or dating error. There is also a theory that coal was formed not millions but only a few thousand years ago under the influence of deep gases and pressure. If so, then the artifacts may not be so ancient at all. Treasures of Atlantis under the Sphinx. Egyptologist Roman Orikoff, a member of the International Association of Egyptologists, spoke about the low probability of discovering secret halls and treasures of Atlantis under the Egyptian pyramids. He recalled that the pyramids have been studied for centuries, and if there was something there, scientists would have found it long ago. The theme of secret chambers under the pyramids and the Sphinx at Giza arose thanks to the American mystic Edgar Cayce in the early 20th century. And although excavations have been attempted in the past, nothing similar has been discovered. Now, the Egyptian authorities prohibit such research, which confirms the absence of hidden rooms. The Egyptologist also focuses on the difference in the concept of treasure between modernity and the past. For the ancient Egyptians, who lived in conditions where the main clothing was a loincloth, modern ideas about treasures do not correspond to reality. Separately mentioned is the theory of Egyptologist Farouk Elbaz about the natural origin of the Great Sphinx. Construction expert Fyodor Vasiliev considers it logical, noting that the main material of the sculpture is limestone, which in itself is not very durable. In his opinion, erosion could only form general outlines, and further detailing was carried out by ancient craftsmen. I told you about this in the previous video. Lost fortress in the Sahara. In the 17th century, among the endless sands of the Sahara, a mysterious ancient fortress was discovered. Scientists who examined the find were stunned by its complex architecture and the unusual technologies that were thought to have been used in its construction. According to the records of that time, the fortress had unique features: massive walls carved from an unknown but incredibly durable material, and complex water systems, the level of which was nothing like it in the known history of mankind at that time. This gave rise to speculation that it could have been built by representatives of an unknown, highly developed civilization, or even with the help of alien technology. But before scientists could study and document this amazing find in detail, the fortress was again buried under thick sand due to a sudden storm. Since then, its exact location has remained a mystery. Despite many expeditions trying to find the fortress, it was never discovered again. This case has attracted the attention of many researchers and mystery lovers. One can only guess what secrets this lost fortress holds. Could it really have been created using technology superior to our own, or is it proof of the existence of a forgotten ancient civilization? An inevitable encounter with a UFO. What will happen if we discover alien intelligence? Senior astronomer at the SETI Institute Seth Shostak is sure that such a moment is inevitable. According to him, signal search technologies are improving, and their efficiency doubles every 2 years. If contact with an extraterrestrial civilization occurs, it will change the course of history. Shostak compares such an event to the discovery of America by Europeans, only on the scale of an entire civilization. In his opinion, there will be no panic. Rather, people will show curiosity and try to establish communication. But what if aliens are dangerous? There's no point in hiding. Earth's radio signals have long been scattered throughout the universe. The only difficulty is deciphering the answer. The religious question is also important. History knows examples when an encounter with a more advanced culture undermined the faith of peoples. The discovery of aliens can lead to a similar crisis. But what if we find only microbial life, say, on Mars? It's not as spectacular, but it would prove that Earth is not the only place where life is born. Shostak believes that if we receive a signal, it may not be sent by biological beings, but by advanced artificial intelligence. Perhaps the future of civilizations lies not in living organisms, but in thinking machines. Sistine Chapel of Ancient Egypt. Here is one of the most stunning tombs of ancient Egypt, the tomb of Queen Nefertari, wife of Ramses II. It is over 3,200 years old and is often called the Sistine Chapel of Egypt because of its incredible paintings. Unlike many other tombs, this one amazes not only with its scale, but also with its bright, almost untouched colors. On the walls are scenes from the Book of the Dead, images of gods and Nefertari herself going to the afterlife. The Egyptians believed that such paintings would help the deceased pass the trials and achieve eternal life. The detail is amazing. Fine lines, intricate patterns, vivid colors, all this makes the tomb a real masterpiece. Unfortunately, many sections of the walls have been damaged by time, but restorers have managed to preserve its grandeur. Today, this tomb is considered one of the most beautiful in the Valley of the Queens and a true window into the world of ancient Egyptian art. America is waiting for little men from Saturn. America is once again gripped by excitement, this time because of unidentified flying drones. The situation is reminiscent of previous waves of mass interest, from flying saucers to Chinese weather balloons. It seems that this trend is repeated again and again, growing with new details and conspiracy theories. Amid the many videos circulating on the internet, some drones look more like a product of computer graphics. Special effects imposed in After Effects are easy to recognize for a person who is at least a little familiar with editing. However, this does not prevent the videos from causing heated discussions because viewers tend to believe what they see. The Biden administration claims that these are civilian commercial drones, and Donald Trump calls on the government to shoot down any unidentified objects and reveal the whole truth. A peculiarity of the American mentality is a love of conspiracy theories. Drones, like flying saucers in the past, immediately become the subject of speculation. They are already causing talk of alien intelligence, agents of Saturn, or even preparations for the inauguration of a hypothetical alien leader. Some recall black helicopters that allegedly abducted people on orders from reptilians. And here comes the alarm again, this time because of drones. It is curious that the excitement around unknown objects occurs with enviable regularity. Remember the Chinese balloons that flew over the USA for a long time until they were suddenly noticed. Then panic gripped society, which, however, quickly subsided. Perhaps the new wave of drone fever will soon fade away, or maybe we really are on the threshold of a new chapter in the history of strange phenomena. But for now, it seems the world is simply entertaining itself with new mystical theories to distract itself from more pressing problems. New Roman dodecahedron. In England, amateur archaeologists have discovered a unique dodecahedron from the Roman era. This discovery, made in a farmer's field in Lincolnshire, is a 12-sided metal figure about the size of a grapefruit. It was found during excavations where Roman coins had previously been discovered thanks to metal detectors. The discovery of a dodecahedron, completely intact and larger than usual, came as a surprise to the excavation participants. More than 100 similar dodecahedrons have been found in northwestern Europe, dating back to the 1 St. 3 RD centuries AD. Typically made of bronze, they have holes of varying sizes on each face and tenons at the corners. The purpose of these objects still remains a mystery to scientists. There are hypotheses that these could be dice, mace heads, sling stones, rangefinders for Roman artillery, or even items for fortune-telling. Rare Chinese bottle. In the city of Xinjiang, China, archaeologists discovered a unique find during excavations at the Peiligang site. They found an unusual bottle that is over 7,000 years old. This artifact became the oldest such item ever found on Chinese territory. The bottle is a rare artifact with an unusual shape, a small neck and a pointed bottom. These vessels are traditionally attributed to the Yangshao culture, one of the oldest in China. There are many theories regarding their purpose. Some suggest that the bottles were used to capture or store water, while others believe that they may have been a tool for ancient brewers. Other late Paleolithic artifacts were found at the Peiligang site, including fragments of ostrich eggshells and red iron ore. Rare giant book. Here is one of 12 giant books from the 18th century written in Spanish. Its size is impressive, almost a meter in length. These books were created for religious ceremonies and contain detailed scripts for the services. Leather binding, wooden covers, pages made of tanned animal skin. All this made the book not only durable but also a symbol of the greatness of the church. Such manuscripts were intended for use in churches where priests and choirs could read the text from afar. That is why the letters are so large. Today, this rarity is kept in the National Autonomous University of Mexico. Scientists and restorers carefully study it, trying to preserve it in its original form. These books are a real window into the past, allowing you to see what liturgical texts looked like and what the attitude to writing was in the era of colonial Latin America. Knossos board game. The rules of this game have been lost to time, and to this day, no one knows how it was played. This artifact was discovered during excavations of the Palace of Knossos by British archaeologist Arthur Evans. Knossos, located on the island of Crete, is considered one of the oldest cities in Europe, and the game found dates back to around 1600 BC. Made of precious materials such as ivory, crystal, glass, gold, and silver, the game was not only an expensive pastime, but also perhaps a symbol of the high status of its owner. Archaeologists suggest that the game could have been used not only for entertainment, but also for rituals or divination. Some researchers even hypothesize that the complex patterns on the board may contain astronomical or mystical elements, which is of interest to supporters of the theory of the alien origin of ancient knowledge. Perhaps this mysterious board game once helped people communicate with higher powers or even with extraterrestrial civilizations. Tomb of the Magician. In Sahara, the necropolis of ancient Memphis, archaeologists have discovered the tomb of the royal physician Teti Nebfu, who lived about 4,000 years ago. According to the surviving inscriptions on the walls and sarcophagus, it has been established that he served under the pharaoh Pepi II and held many titles: Chief Physician of the Palace, Chief Dentist, Director of Medicinal Plants, Priest and Magician of the goddess Selket. Since Selket patronized dangerous creatures with poison, scientists believe that Teti Nebfu knew how to treat poisonous bites. Despite the fact that the tomb was partially looted, its walls have been preserved in excellent condition and are decorated with bright paintings, scenes of offerings, a false door, ritual images. In addition to royal burials, burials of royal officials, including associates and servants of Pepi II, were previously found in Saqqara. Recently, several stone sarcophagi with hieroglyphs dedicated to the gods of Upper and Lower Egypt were also excavated there. According to experts, the splendor of Teti Nebfu's final resting place speaks to the high status of healing and magic at that time. The Egyptians had deep knowledge of anatomy, knew how to treat serious illnesses, and considered words and rituals to be as important as medicines. A cache of royal regalia. An unexpected discovery in the dungeons of the Vilnius Cathedral shocked historians. A carefully walled-up vault with burial regalia associated with the rulers of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania and Poland was discovered. Crowns, scepters, chains, rings, and tablets belonging to King Alexander, his mother Elizabeth of Habsburg, and Barbara Radziwill, the wife of Sigismund Augustus, were found there. These items were not worn during life, but were made specifically for burial ceremonies. According to researchers, the regalia were first discovered in 1931, but with the start of World War II, they were hidden deeper in the catacombs and walled up to protect them from looting. The location of this cache eluded archaeologists for decades until December 2024, when a detailed examination of all the cavities was carried out using an endoscope, comparing archival diagrams with new plans of the cathedral. In the end, the treasure was found. Barbara Radziwill, whose tragic fate became legendary, died shortly after her coronation, which made her burial regalia especially significant for her contemporaries. Metal rod. How can this mysterious artifact be explained? Inside a stone found in the Meizong Mountains of China, collector Jilin Wang discovered a metal rod with a thread resembling a screw. But the strangest thing is that the hard rock formed around it, which suggests that the find could be millions of years old. Some have suggested that this is a meteorite with an alien artifact inside. Others believe that it is an ancient man-made object that, for unknown reasons, ended up in the ground and turned into a fossil. Skeptics believe that this is simply a rare natural formation and the screw is just a fossilized marine organism. But the most interesting thing is that similar finds have already been found in different parts of the world. Coincidence or evidence of an ancient, unknown technology? For now, this artifact remains one of the most mysterious archaeological riddles. Stationary underwater objects. There are many stationary anomalous objects hidden in the oceans that still remain a mystery to scientists. Even if we put aside myths such as the legends of Atlantis, the list of interesting finds is still impressive. One of the most famous is the Inagui Monument, located near the Ryukyu Islands, not far from the Japanese Yonaguni. These are stone structures located at a shallow depth that have regular geometric shapes. Despite the fact that most scientists consider them to be a natural geological formation, many researchers and pseudo-archaeologists are trying to prove that these stones are the result of human activity. Another mystery is the megalith found at the bottom of the Gulf of Pantelleria Vecchia in the Tunisian Strait. This is a huge stone, 12 meters long and weighing 15 tons, in which there are 3 round holes. Based on its structure, it is assumed that it was processed by man in the Mesolithic, about 15,000 years ago. However, rock analysis showed that its age could be much higher, more than 40,000 years, which casts doubt on its origin. The Cuban underwater city is another mysterious discovery made in 2001 off the west coast of Cuba. With the help of sonar, geometric structures resembling pyramids and rings consisting of granite blocks were discovered. These findings raised a lot of questions among researchers, as they could be both natural formations and the result of human activity. These and other objects remain the subject of active research and discussion because their origin can reveal a lot of unknown things about ancient civilizations and the nature of the ocean depths. In the Bronze Age, they traded cities. The noisy earthquake in Turkey in 2023 brought not only destruction, but also discovery. In Kahramanmaraş, where everything happened, there is an ancient mound of Tel Achan. There once was the city of Alalak, a real center of the Bronze Age. Alalak was founded in the 2nd millennium BC. It was part of Yamhad, the gigantic empire of that era. Palaces stood there as early as 2000 BC. Immediately, the mysterious Yarim Lim comes across our eyes. Who is he? Brother? Son? This question has plagued scholars for a long time until recent findings point to his fraternal relationship with the ruler of Yamhad. And so after the earthquake, archaeologists discovered a clay tablet. It's got cuneiform on it. It was an agreement on the sale of an entire city. And what is most interesting, the buyer was our Yarim Lim guy. It looks like an old receipt from a store that hasn't been opened yet. For a long time it was thought that cities were donated or exchanged but not sold. This plate changes everything. Gold torque. In the UK, an amateur with a metal detector discovered a 3,000-year-old gold torque. The ancient piece, found in a field by the River Stour in Essex, is the first such artifact to be recorded in the region. Torques are massive gold necklaces that symbolize the high status of their owner. The piece dates back to the Middle Bronze Age. Analysis has shown that the piece is 75% gold, 18% silver, and contains a small amount of copper. The 14.7 centimeters piece is made from a rectangular gold rod into which the craftsman cut 4 deep grooves and then twisted the metal, giving it a special shape. According to ancient Finn specialist Laurie Rogerson, the artifact looks as if it was made yesterday. Working with such a soft metal required a high level of skill, as twisting too hard could tear the gold. Alien visitors in Egypt. Recent archaeological excavations in Egypt have led to a sensational discovery that has attracted the attention of the entire world. Archaeologists have found artifacts in the Giza Plateau area that, according to some scientists, may be evidence that aliens visited Earth 5,000 years ago. It all started with excavations in a recently opened tomb dating back to the Old Kingdom of Egypt. Among the items found, metal plates with mysterious symbols and images of flying objects that resembled modern UFOs stood out. An analysis of the artifacts showed that they were covered in writing in an unknown language. Some scientists suggest that this could be a message from aliens, which the ancient Egyptians could have perceived as contact with another civilization. Linguists are already working to decipher these symbols, but the results remain unclear. Attention was also drawn to the images of unidentified flying objects on the plates, which, according to ufologists, could be a diagram of an alien ship. It seems to me that so far the researchers have made a lot of hasty conclusions, and most likely the interpretation of these plates will be more down to earth. Therefore, it is better to wait until the study of these artifacts is completed and find out what symbols are depicted and why they were there. Ancient Egyptian bread. The bread, estimated to be between 3,369 and 3,406 years old, was found in the tomb of an architect who served Pharaoh Amenhotep III. The bread is an amazing example of how food was preserved thanks to the advanced mummification techniques used by the ancient Egyptians. The Egyptians mummified not only their bodies, but also the food they believed the dead could use in the afterlife. The process involved treating the food with salt, drying it slowly, binding it, and coating it with resin to protect it from deterioration. The loaves show traces of their characteristic texture and shape, confirming their origin and ritual role. The bread was a symbolic and practical preparation for life after death, reflecting the Egyptians' deep belief that they would need everything they had on Earth in the afterlife. The mythical gold mine. In 1929, Australia found its Indiana Jones, Lewis Harold Bell Lassiter. He claimed that 3 decades earlier he had discovered a huge gold reef in the heart of the continent. There was almost no evidence, but rumors of a missing Klondike excited prospectors and historians. In 1930, Lassiter managed to assemble an expedition and set off into the outback again. He was accompanied by a pilot, 2 prospectors, Aboriginal guides, and even a representative of the governor. However, Lassiter was sullen, confused in his stories, and reluctant to show the way. Having reached Mount Marjorie, he declared that they were lost. His companions considered him an imposter and left. Lassiter was left with only a hunter, but soon the hunter also abandoned him. As a result, Harold continued on his way alone. A year later, he was found dead in a cave. According to his diary, he died of exhaustion after spending his last months among the natives trying to survive. Meanwhile, the legend of the reef did not die out. Numerous prospectors combed the McDonnell Range in the hope of finding gold. The press discussed the mysterious Swede Olof Johansson, who allegedly also knew the way to the treasure. Later, books and films appeared. Director Luke Walker in the project Lassiter's Bones found letters from Harold mentioning that same Olaf and hinting at the lost reef. Modern research has not confirmed large deposits in the designated area, although geologist Bill DeCarly came across a quartz layer reminiscent of Lassiter's description. He believes that Harold was just retelling other people's stories. Nevertheless, the mystery of the treasure continues to excite the minds of romantics and gold hunters. Jade cicada. Here is a jade cicada created during the Western Zhou dynasty. This artifact is not just a decoration, it had a deep symbolic meaning. In Chinese culture, the cicada was considered a symbol of rebirth and immortality, and jade was a stone of eternity. Such a figurine could be placed in the mouth of the deceased before burial, believing that it would help the soul pass into the afterlife and be reborn. Traces of red paint found on the artifact are also important. Red symbolized protection and good luck. The finest carving demonstrates the high level of skill of ancient Chinese artisans. Note the eyes, folded paws, and patterns that give the figurine an almost mystical look. Such objects were part of rituals and reflected the religious beliefs of people of that era. Scientists melt 46,000-year-old ice. Scientists have made a stunning discovery by reviving an ancient nematode that was frozen in Siberia for 46,000 years. The microscopic worm, identified as Panagrolamus colimensis, was found 40 meters underground where it had been dormant since the earliest cave paintings were made. After being thawed, the nematode came back to life, began feeding on bacteria in the lab and reproducing asexually, then leaving a new generation for further study. The nematode's ability to survive in extreme conditions rivals better-known species such as Caenorhabditis elegans, which can survive desiccation and produce a sugar called trehalose that protects against dehydration. This discovery could open up new horizons in understanding biological processes of survival and evolution, suggesting that species can survive in extreme conditions for thousands of years and even revive after a long period of dormancy. If scientists can implant the abilities of these living creatures into humans, we will actually be able to travel in time, since humanity will be able to put people into a state of suspended animation and awaken them in the distant future after tens, hundreds, or thousands of years. The most outstanding discovery of the year. During excavations near the German city of Retz, scientists came across a unique brooch dating back to the 7th century. This exquisite piece of gilded silver inlaid with red garnets, almandines, is considered one of the most significant finds of 2024. According to archaeologist Detlef Janssen, the brooch could have belonged to members of the elite, since such items are most often found in rich burial complexes. The luxurious Cloisonne enamel technique used to secure the precious stones formed complex geometric patterns reminiscent of intertwined snakes. The thinnest layer of gold on the base enhances the depth of the garnet's color, and the oval shape of the brooch lends it a special elegance. It is believed that the piece of jewelry dates back to the period of the Great Migration of Peoples, 3rd–6th centuries, when extensive migrations radically changed the political and cultural map of Europe. Unidentified head. Heads from Lenberg is a set of clay heads discovered in South Africa. They are dated 500 AD and are the oldest known examples of Iron Age art south of the equator. In 1957, as a 10-year-old boy, Ludwig von Basing found these heads on his father's farm. A total of 7 heads were found. 2 of them are large enough to put on a child's head, the other 5 are half the size. They are all different, but each has something in common. For example, clay neck rings, which perhaps symbolized prosperity. Perhaps they were worn as masks during rituals, or they were attached to something during ceremonies. Remains of Jesus' brother. A 2,000-year-old ossuary with the inscription, "James, son of Joseph, brother of Jesus," has been discovered in Israel. This has sparked a heated debate. Perhaps the box contained the remains of James the Just, the first bishop of Jerusalem and brother of Jesus. Today, the artifact is on display in Atlanta among 350 ancient relics from the time of Christ. However, its authenticity remains in question. The owner of the ossuary, collector Oded Golan, was accused of forging the inscription, claiming that he added the phrase, "brother of Jesus." But after a multi-year trial, the charges were dropped, although the judge clarified that this does not prove the authenticity of the artifact. If the inscription is real, the ossuary will be the oldest material evidence of the existence of Jesus. In the 1st century, Jews kept the bones of the deceased in limestone boxes, so the discovery of such an ossuary is not surprising. In 2017, another artifact related to him was found, the ancient text, The First Apocalypse of James. It says that Jesus passed on secret knowledge to his brother, including a prediction of his death. This text was banned because it did not correspond to the canonical New Testament. Ancient marble disc. The underwater world of the Mediterranean Sea hides not only colorful fish but also the secrets of ancient civilizations. Israeli diver David Shalom made an incredible discovery off Palmacum Beach. He found a 2,400-year-old marble disc at the bottom of the sea. There are only 4 such discs in the whole world. Ancient ships were decorated with such discs, which served not only as decoration but also as protection from the evil eye. These sea amulets looked like eyes, helping sailors navigate the water and warn of possible dangers. This disc has a diameter of 20 centimeters, one side is flat and the other is convex, and most importantly, traces of paint are still preserved on it. Box with code lock. This is a unique 12th century artifact created by Iranian craftsmen. This exquisite object not only served as a storage unit, but also demonstrated the outstanding engineering skills of its time. The box has 4 double dials, each with 16 positions. The combination of all possible settings creates an impressive number of options, 16 to the power of 8 or 4 billion S 294 million S 967,296. This made the box extremely secure since it is almost impossible to guess the code. The materials from which this item is made include brass, gold, and silver. The ornamentation and Arabic inscription covering the surface emphasize the sophistication of the work and testify to the high status of the owner. The box is now kept in the Copenhagen Museum, where it attracts visitors as an outstanding example of technology and decorative art of the medieval East. The date of its creation is determined to be around 1200. UFO on the cover of an 18th century book. The discovery of an image of a UFO on the cover of a book by Johann Funk, published in 1716, has caused widespread controversy among ufologists. This image, depicting a classic flying saucer surrounded by bright lightning, is seen by many as confirmation that alien visitors visited Earth as early as 300 years ago. Despite controversy over whether alien visits actually occurred in the 1700s, the find confirms that people of the time were also interested in the idea of extraterrestrial civilizations. As always, people are divided into types. Some believe in UFOs, others are skeptical about such assumptions. Ufologists wonder about the technological development of aliens. Assuming that they actually visited Earth in the 18th century, how did their technology remain unchanged for 3 centuries? This refers to the shape of an alien ship. Extraordinary burial unearthed. A unique artifact has been unearthed in a 6th century AD female burial in eastern Lincolnshire, England. A Roman cup dating to the 3rd century AD. The find, made during excavations at the Scramby cemetery, explores the interaction between Anglo-Saxon and Roman cultures and sheds light on the burial customs of the time. The copper alloy cup was found in the grave of a young woman designated Ski 18. The deceased was also found to have 2 brooches and bracelets. The placement of the artifact next to the woman's head suggests its symbolic significance. The cup, known as the Scramby cup, is in excellent condition. It measures 5.7 centimeters high and holds around 280 milliliters. Its decoration is Roman in style, with crescent and heart patterns covered in red, aquamarine, and bluish-violet enamel, demonstrating the skill of Roman craftsmen. It is believed that the bowl was made in France and brought to England in the 3rd century AD. Analysis of the inside of the bowl revealed traces of unheated pork fat. This may indicate that it was used for ritual or medicinal purposes. Pig fat was used to treat infections at the time, which is consistent with Byzantine texts of the period. The uniqueness of the find is also that the bowl was preserved intact, unlike most Roman artifacts which are usually found in fragments. Hidden medieval stories. Iceland has a rich literary history dating back to the Middle Ages. Here on an island with a population of just 380,000, many people write books following traditions that began with the Vikings. Scholars believe that the skalds, Icelandic poets, not only glorified the kings of Norway, but also laid the foundation for epic prose and vast bodies of knowledge. Medieval texts, from royal sagas to theological treatises, were written on expensive calfskin parchment, vellum. When a book aged, its materials were often reused, the text was cut out for new entries, or covers were made from the scraps, and sometimes even church mitres. In particularly rare cases, palimpsests appeared, parchments on which the old text was erased or scraped off, and new text was written in its place. This practice became especially widespread after the Reformation of the 16th century, when Latin services were replaced by Icelandic. But fragments of the old are often visible beneath the new writing, and modern methods make it possible to unravel the mysteries of a bygone era. The government is secretly in contact with aliens. Recently, UFO claims have surfaced, including from Mexico, where alien remains were allegedly found. It turned out that these were just dummies, but rumors about UFOs continue to spread online. Some believe in the control of the planet by unknown forces, while others perceive this as a distraction from real problems. Interest in UFOs was also fueled by former U.S. Navy Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet, who stated the connection between the American government and non-human intelligence. According to him, they are silent about this in order to hide top-secret technologies that can give an advantage in a military conflict. He calls for disclosure of information about contact with non-human intelligence. On the other hand, Elon Musk is skeptical about the idea of aliens existing in our part of the galaxy. He believes that in the next couple of 100 years, humanity will not be able to reach long distances in space, and that aliens are unlikely to be interested in a small planet on the outskirts of the galaxy. Musk is confident that human consciousness is a unique phenomenon and must be preserved. These statements by influential individuals fuel interest in the topic of UFOs, although they do not provide concrete facts. The surprising thing is that people in ancient times were interested in alien objects, and they saw UFOs and aliens in everything. As they say, there is no smoke without fire. Therefore, it is impossible to be 100% sure that there are no alien objects or creatures on our planet. What do you think? Write your opinion in the comments under the video. Could the US government have any contact with extraterrestrial life today? UFO in the USSR. At the end of the USSR and after its collapse, UFOs became a frequent topic of discussion. Residents regularly reported strange objects in the sky, special shows were shown on television, and urban myths circulated among people. Some UFO evidence involved secret missile tests that the general public was unaware of. In the 70s to 80s, stories about UFOs spread in the USSR. There were legends about a UFO crash in Yakutia in the 70s, a UFO explosion on the Kola Peninsula in 1981, and its destruction by a nuclear installation in Kazakhstan in 1983. Another story tells about mushroom pickers who allegedly photographed the interior of a flying saucer and then their traces were lost. There are even photographs that supposedly prove a UFO crash in the USSR, but upon closer examination they raise doubts. Soviet UFOs were more likely a manifestation of mass self-hypnosis rather than evidence of extraterrestrial civilizations. There have also been cases in the United States when UFOs were caught on video, including those filmed by the military. For example, in July 2019, an unidentified object was spotted near the USS Omaha. The Pentagon suggests that UFOs may be of extraterrestrial origin. Even astronauts on the ISS observed strange objects, but often these turned out to be satellites. In the United States, there is laser equipment capable of creating plasma images that are sometimes mistaken for UFOs. But even with all these explanations, some cases remain a mystery. What do you think is really behind the UFO phenomenon? Fantasy, technology, or something else? Write your versions under the video, and I will be glad if you subscribe to the channel and watch my next video, which I am already preparing for you. Thanks for your views. Bye, everyone.